Good morning, friends. How about a little hope this morning? Have you ever seen the movie Pleasantville? Pleasantville is a movie in which two teenagers are catapulted into this sort of 1950s black and white world. Everything looks like you would find on television in the 1950s. And as these two teens find themselves in this setting, they begin to introduce elements like love, passion, touch, risk, and as they do, these things that are black and white begin to turn into full technicolor. There's power in the elements that they begin to introduce into the story and into the setting. Now the problem is, and the reason why I bring this up is because I believe that a lot of people that I meet day in and day out live in this sort of black and white monotone world. Or another way of saying it is I believe that they sort of live in a one-dimensional flat world where things are just as they are and will never be any different. But that's where the power of hope can come in. I believe when hope is introduced well, it has the power of turning this black and white monotone world into something that has color. This one-dimensional world into something that has depth and meaning. But there's a problem with hope. Because a lot of people tell me that they've put their hopes in things before only to be let down. And so their refusal to hope is really this sort of self-protective measure that they put in place to keep them from being disappointed. And without a doubt, I want to validate that because there's a whole lot of stuff that we can put our hopes in. In fact, Psalm 33 says these words, that no king is saved by the size of his army, no warrior escapes by his great strength, a horse is a vain hope for deliverance. That what that's saying is that there are all sorts of things in this world that we can put our hope in that will let us down. And whether it's finances or relationships or a certain situation that we said, this is it, these things can let us down. But I find that hope has little to do with just sort of randomly tossing our hope out there to anything we can find and really putting our hope in one who can be trusted. Now again, here's the problem. You encounter people who say, you know what, I've put my hope in God before only to be let down. And what I tend to believe happens there is it's not so much that they put their hope in God, it's that they have a predetermined, preset set of expectations that God must meet and match in order for that hope to be real. And when those prescribed, expected results don't end up turning out the way we want, God has let us down. But I don't know that that's hope either. I don't know that hope is a set of predefined expectations. I believe that maybe hope is simply trusting in one whose love is unfailing and who can show up in unexpected ways. One who will never let us down, though we may not always see exactly or know exactly how he's about to show out. And so for me, hope is about longing, leaning, and living. It's about longing for a world that is different than in which we live. It's about longing for God to show up and do things in ways that I could have never anticipated. It's about longing for one whose hand is steady and sturdy, who can hold us in the midst of whatever we are enduring. It's about leaning into God's future. It's about leaning into the hope that the way God sees things, the way God desires things will come to pass. And it's about living. I mean truly living. Living not in a monotone black and white one-dimensional way, but living in full technicolor. I believe it's about living in such a way where there's passion and risk and love and we can lean out into this world in ways that the world is not accustomed to being experienced. And so I believe it looks a lot more like what the psalmist says in Psalm 33. We wait and hope for the Lord, for he is our help and he is our shield. In him our hearts rejoice, for we trust in his holy name. May your unfailing love rest upon us, O Lord, even as we put our hope in him. Friends, that for me is the nature of hope. It's about hoping in one who is faithful, who will see us through. And my hope and prayer for you today is that you can long, lean, and live trusting in the unfailing love of God. Have a glorious day in God, friends. And this is why I'm a Hoptimist, who believes that though the world is not as it should be, God is busy and at work, making it as it ought to be.